Iowa Republicans recently introduced legislation that would make poor people's lives even more miserable. Now, this bill, introduced by Representative Holt Grassley, would impose sharp restrictions on the kinds of food that people on the SNAP program can buy. So now it gets pretty ridiculous. According to Axios, the bill would restrict people on the SNAP program to purchase only specific things, a very small list of things. Here's an example. According to Axios, proposed restrictions include no white grains. People can only purchase 100% whole wheat bread, brown rice, and wheat pasta. No baked, refried, or chili beans. Only black, red, and pinto beans. No fresh meat at all. Only canned products like canned tuna or canned salmon. No cheese. No cheese. Beans and rice for you. Maybe if you're good, you can get a side of a canned tuna. Wow. There's more. The Des Moines Area Religious Council, DMARC, an interfaith group that operates the largest food pantry in Iowa, noted in a statement earlier this week that if the bill passed, Iowans could no longer use their SNAP benefits to purchase meat, nuts, seeds, flour, butter, cooking oil, soup, canned fruits, and vegetables, frozen prepared foods, snack foods, herbs, spices, not even salt or pepper. Again, plain beans and rice for you. It goes further, though. The bill would also, for the first time, create an asset test for the SNAP program, limiting household assets to $2,750 or $4,250 if one member of the household happens to be a senior over 60. It exempts just one vehicle, making households with 2 cars ineligible. Oh, see, you have a second car. Obviously, Richie McRich, Scrooge McRich, okay? Yeah. Oh, you got a second car. You must be rolling in it. You don't need food. We're not gonna help you. Go sell your second car. Yeah, maybe you'll get a couple $100 from it. Because I'm guessing that any household at the point of where you need to be on food stamps, you're not running around with a Rolls Royce. Okay? You ain't got no Mercedes. It's going to be a beater. I mean, now here's the thing about that, right? In America, you need mainly 2 incomes to survive. That's most working class people need to have both parents work, both people in the household work. Okay? If you get rid of one of the cars, well, that's going to make it difficult for one of these people to get to work. Again, if they work at different places at the same time, that's going to cause some issues, right? One of those parents might not be able to work, which actually reduces their income further, makes them more dependent. Unbelievably cruel. Unbelievably cruel. But understand, of course, that's the point. The point is to be as cruel as possible. Now, that said, other groups condemn the bill. The Iowa Hunger Coalition condemned the bill, saying that its food restrictions and asset limits will make it more difficult to qualify for SNAP. In the bill, they said it would restrict SNAP participants' ability to make their own food choices, take food away from Iowans, and increase hunger and food insecurity in our state. Now, Iowa already has a big problem. According to Feeding America, roughly 229,500 people, including 80,160 children, face food insecurity in that state. Now, if you reduce the ability for people to get on SNAP, and then reduce what they are able to buy on SNAP, you're going to make food insecurity worse. Because again, you're massively limiting someone's diet to beans and rice. They're not going to get a lot of nutrition from this. Certainly not a varied enough diet. So now Lena Greenberg, another critic, says, and she's co-executive director of the group Indivisible, said, this is so profoundly cruel and petty. Yeah, it is so profoundly cruel and petty. It's as simple as that. Sarah Bowen, a sociologist who studies food inequality, noted in a tweet on Thursday that Republicans have been trying to destroy SNAP for years, animated by the lie that SNAP recipients are stocking up on lobster and steak. Let me tell you what, I've been on SNAP before. You ain't getting lobster and steak. If you do buy a steak, it better last a whole week. Being poor, I don't think they understand. Being poor is hard. It's very hard. It's actually very, not only costly, which is, again, you wouldn't think, right? But also, it's incredibly time consuming. Give me an example, right? In order to make these meals work, you got to find the best deals, right? To stretch your dollar as much as you can, down to the penny. Crunch the numbers of what you can afford. That takes time. Plan out single meals for the week, for example, how much you're gonna spend on that. And then you have to go out and actually find those meals. And that, of course, takes time. Going perhaps even to special stores that are, for example, Aldi's. Or your Save-A-Lots. Whatever discount grocery stores that you can find to get better deals on things. Again, takes time and effort, right? Because look, you have to do that. If you use up those benefits for the month, that's it. It's done. There is no more food. There is no more money for food. And not to mention, again, these special stores sometimes don't have the things that you need. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they're far away. And sometimes they're not. It all depends on where you live. And look, when trying to find foods that will last a month, you also have to make sure that you can find those things. That also massively limits you. You can't get things that'll spoil quickly. And then, of course, has a big impact on your diet as well. You don't get fresh vegetables. Again, making meals with that stuff takes time. It is quite time consuming. And then, of course, on top of that, you're expected to either have a job or look for a job training. If you have kids, take care of them. If you have family members, you're also taking care of them in the households. So look, all of that in together, it's stressful being poor. Being poor is a full-time job. No one's having a good time on food stamps. Believe me. And as Common Dream notes, SNAP recipients are already limited on what they can purchase at the grocery store using their benefits. Like I said, though, Iowa Republicans are expanding those restrictions. Bowen is quoted as saying, quote, "This is the most ridiculous proposal I've seen. No chicken or ground beef, no chili beans, no American cheese. No cheese." And as Todd Norman of the Iowa Gazette explained in a column on Thursday, that legislation would also not be fiscally responsible. Think about it. This, according to Republicans, the reason that they want to do this, we're spending too much money on the SNAP program. We've got to scale it back. We just don't have the money for it. Well, this legislation, according to Dorman, would require the Department of Health and Human Services to seek a federal waiver, allowing Iowa to scrap an already restricted federal list of approved foods and replace it with a list of food available to recipients of aid to women, infants, and children. That, of course, it costs, it's time and money. Got to get the lawyers, got to draft that up. It's got to go through, the proper, I guess, through the proper chain, of authority. You get it signed off. So you're just wasting time at that point, when they could be doing other things. Dorman also added, beyond now that draconian wisdom, the bill would also force recipients to jump through far more regulatory hoops to become eligible and stay on SNAP, wrapping recipients tightly in red tape and costing the state millions more to administer the program. And I think that's really important because it really shows you what this is about. It's not about saving the state money. It's about punishing people who are in poverty. They believe that if they punish you enough, humiliate you enough, make you suffer enough, that you are going to stop being poor. That's what this is about. You know what stops people from being poor? More money. Literally, that's it. And by the way, I don't just mean giving more money. I mean better jobs, higher wages, more affordable housing, and of course, expanding Social Security for those who cannot work, who are disabled, who are most likely on the SNAP program as well. I mean, really, yeah, that would, those things would help. Now, Republicans pushing for that? No. Pushing for the opposite. They're just trying to make people who are already dealing with enough even more miserable for no real reason. The cruelty is the point. They believe in making other people suffer. And unsurprisingly, there are two groups that actually support this bill. One is the Florida-based Opportunity Solutions Project. Ironic name. Basically, as Dorman writes, they send their minions across the country to cut holes in the social safety net and oppose policies like the Medicaid expansion. Because, how dare they have healthy people? Which, again, healthier people cost the state less resources. Cost hospitals less in resources. When you can actually treat people, before things get serious, or illnesses have a chance to get more serious, you reduce the cost. And as a side effect, I guess, or as a bonus, you get to live. I know, people living. Weird, but again, the pro-life party doesn't really care about that. They don't really care if people live. Not if they're poor. Now, that group, has the Opportunity Solutions Project, is part of a web of conservative think tanks and bill mills bankrolled by wealthy donors, who, again, as Dorman writes, think that if you just make poor people hungry and sick enough, they'll get out their bootstraps. The bootstraps! You got no boots. Where are you going to get the straps from? The other group, of course, is the right-wing Iowans for Tax Relief, which, again, is just another front group for millionaires, billionaires, corporations. But they have managed to buy off 40 Iowa Republicans that have, introduced and co-sponsored this disgusting piece of legislation. Are trying to screw over poor people.